Hi, and welcome to Conquer the Concept. In this video, we're going to learn how to name ionic compounds. Atoms are usually neutral in charge. Since the number of protons who have a positive charge are equal to the number of electrons who have a negative charge. This means that the number of electrons and the number of protons cancel out. However, atoms also can gain or lose electrons, and this results in something called an ion. There are two types of ions. When a neutral atom loses one or more electrons, it results in a cation. A cation is an ion with a net positive charge. This means that it would want to lose electrons in the process, so therefore having more protons than electrons. So this one would rather want to lose electrons. When a neutral atom gains one or more electrons, it results in an anion. In the process it gains more electrons. This has less protons than electrons, which means that it would have a net negative charge. So they would gain electrons. And this one has a net positive charge. And an anion has a net negative charge. Unlike most elements on the periodic table, hydrogen can easily transform into a cation or an anion. Usually, most elements would turn into a cation or an anion, usually not both. So, the neutral version of hydrogen has one proton, one electron, and has a net charge of 0, because 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. The cation version of hydrogen has 0 electrons, 1 proton, for a net charge of 1 plus. In the cation version, it lost an electron from 1 to 0, but the number of protons stayed the same. Since the number of protons is greater than the number of electrons, the net charge remains positive. In the anion version of hydrogen, it has 2 electrons and 1 proton, for a net charge of 1 minus. As you can see, the number of electrons increase in number, while the number of protons remain the same. Due to the fact that there are more electrons than protons, it will have a net negative charge. Now that we have a basic understanding of the concept, let's try a problem. A certain ion has 12 protons and 10 electrons. What kind of element is this ion, and what is its net charge? The number of protons in an atom decides what type of element it is. The number of protons is equal to the periodic number, so the atomic number. So we can see that 12 here is Mg. Mg is equal to magnesium. Since there are 12 protons and 10 electrons, we can subtract 10 from 12 to get a net positive charge, a net charge of 2 plus. So this is written as the chemical symbol of magnesium, Mg, 2 plus. Let's get into the challenging stuff now. We can use the periodic table to predict the charges of elements will have when they ionize. Main group elements either want to gain an electron or give away electrons to become ions. The elements in groups 1, 2, 13, and 14 all want to lose electrons in order to have a net positive charge. The elements in groups 15, 16, and 17 all want to gain electrons so they can have a net negative charge. However, carbon is an exception because it can either gain or lose 4 electrons to become an ion. So let's look at an example on the periodic table. So let's take beryllium, which has a chemical symbol of Be. So Be, beryllium. As we can see above, it wants to lose electrons so it can have a net positive charge of 2+. So we write this as Be 2+. So this is its ionized form. Let's try sulfur. Sulfur has the chemical symbol of S, which wants to gain 2 electrons in order to have a net negative charge. So it is written as S2+. S is its chemical symbol. Let's try an example problem. Let's convert calcium bromide. Let's first try to write KCl in words. We know that Cl is chlorine and K is potassium. Potassium. So the standard way to write a chemical symbol, a chemical formula, is the cation followed by the anion. However, we need to convert the anion element to have a suffix of IDE. So this I and E would be converted into an IDE. So the cation is potassium, so that remains the same. And the anion is chlorine, which will be converted into chloride. So KCl is potassium chloride. Just a fun fact, KCl is currently being used in agricultural techniques to maintain water in soil. Now, let's try to convert calcium bromide into a chemical formula. Calcium is element 20 and has a charge, wants to have a net charge of 2+. So it's written as Ca2+. Bromide, on the other hand, is element 35 and wants to have a charge of 1-, so it's written as B1-, Br1-. We need to think of a way so that the number of calcium atoms balances out with the number of bromide atoms. So if we have 2 calcium atoms and 2 bromide, if we have one calcium atom and 2 bromide atoms, we get bromine. So bromide has the suffix IDE, but the element is actually called bromine because we had to convert the suffix into IDE to write it in words. So there will be 2 calciums and 2 bromides. There'll be 1 calcium and 2 bromines. So this results in Ca2+ and Br2-, because we just multiply 2 with the -1. So since these obviously cancel out with each other, this can just be written as Ca, because this remains the same, followed by the anion Br2. This is the number of electrons it wants to gain. CaBr2 is how you write calcium bromide in a chemical formula. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe and like to conquer the concept.